here's the really interesting part of all this. In Genesis chapter 5, listen to how long Adam lived. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. This is where it gets, I'm amazed at the layout of the King James Bible. I'm just absolutely stunned. You can believe what you want to, but I'm going to give you facts. You can believe what you want to after that. Here we have the Old Testament and the New Testament. What joins them together? Four base pairs, 4 books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Here we have the first Adam. The Bible says in Romans 5 that Christ is the second Adam, the last Adam. The first Adam was born unto death. Second Adam was born for life everlasting. And so if you live the way Adam lived, you're going to die. If you live after Christ, you're going to live forever, because Christ is alive forever. So you have the first Adam, second Adam. First Adam, and then 4,000 years later, the second Adam comes. The Old Testament and the New Testament. You have the last book of the Old Testament, which is Malachi. 400 years later, you have the book of Matthew. Pretty cool. 4,000 years, 400 years. You have the Old Testament, which has 39 books in it. And then Matthew, the beginning of the New Testament, is book number 40. And it begins the first 4 books of the Bible, which are like the 4 base pairs of your DNA. God designed it exactly that way. And so we have the first occurrence of the word book in the Old Testament, which says the book of the generations. And we know that genetics is cursed because it's under the law. And it says if you want to live forever, you can never disobey God. We've all done it. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. The first occurrence of the word book in the New Testament is in the very beginning, 4,000 years after Adam, 400 years after the Old Testament. In the 40th book of the Bible, Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, it says the book of the generation of Jesus Christ. Look at that. Now we go from the book of the genetics of Adam, which are cursed, to the books of the genetics, the generation, the DNA of Jesus Christ. Now there's life forever for those who trust in Jesus Christ. Now, watch this. Revelation chapter 21, verse 12. There shall in no wise enter into anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. The old book, which is this flesh body here, is death. But if you believe and are born again, like Jesus told Nicodemus, you believe in the Word of God, believe what God said and trust in it, then you have a new man being birthed in you in this old body, this old corrupt body. You have a new man being birthed in you, which is the life of Jesus Christ. It's the Lamb's book of life, and you are written in the Lamb's book of life. Now, let me show you where I'm going with this. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. This is the book of the generations, the book of the genetic book of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. So God made Adam in the likeness of God, in the image of God. It says in the next verse, the image of God created, male and female created he them. The likeness and the image. You ever heard of somebody saying, hey, he's the spitting image of his daddy? Basically, that whole idea comes from the Bible. He is in the spirit and the image of his father. That's where that comes from. I love it. Now, watch this. Here's where the perversion comes in. Exodus chapter 20, verse 4. This is the law, the 10 Commandments. This is what we're under in our flesh. It's the reason why we can't live forever, because we break all these laws. Exodus 20, verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third, and look here, fourth generation, genetics, of them that hate me. And so God said, if you try to build an image, if you try to remake God into an image, then you're going to be cursed to the third and fourth generation. You're going to be cursed in your genetics. That's what happens with this flesh. And we can't live because we violated the will of God. Revelation 13, verse 14. Notice what happens here. Here's what the false, Jesus is the real prophet of God. Here's a false prophet. Look at what he causes mankind to do. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. Look at that. They're going to build an image. What builds an image? The genetics, DNA, which had the wound by a sword and did live, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, here's what happens. There's a curse here. You try to remake God. You try to be God. You try to go against God. And God curses your genetics, your DNA. You're going to die. And we know this, we see the false prophet now causing all of mankind to build an image in the likeness of the beast. And he has power to give that likeness life, and all the world's worshiping him. Then, of course, everybody receives the mark. And here's the curse right here in the New Testament. Here's what happens. Here's what God said. God, Jesus Christ, said this. Revelation 22:18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this, here it is, there's that word book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. You want to go to heaven? Don't alter the book. Don't take stuff out of it. Don't add to it. Don't rewrite it. Don't change the words. Don't alter the genetic sequence that God has a copyright on his book. It's his book. He's the one that wrote it. He has rights to it. And he's saying you are not allowed. This is just like a copyright law in any country. No one else has the right to alter, augment, change, add to, or even take credit for a book that somebody else wrote. Well, here's God's copyright law right here. God said, don't alter the image. Don't alter the words of the book. Don't change them. This is what they're doing. They're altering and rewriting the genetic code. Oh, they're only doing that in laboratory animals today. They've already started doing it in human beings. Started rewriting the book. And it all has to do, but you need to understand, this is for the benefit of mankind. Because if we can alter this corrupt book, remember, David said I was imperfect. If we can alter this corrupt book, then maybe we would eliminate diseases. Maybe we could eliminate and cure all the diseases. Maybe we could live forever. Go back to Genesis chapter 3. The devil said, ye shall be as gods, knowing good, but thou shalt not surely die. The first trick, the first deception on planet Earth was giving mankind the promise that he could be immortal in a cursed book, in a cursed flesh, that we could disobey the laws of God and still live forever. That's where all of this is going. The scientists said, now we know how to write books. Now we know how to do that. We know how to rewrite what's been written. The idea that the false prophet in Revelation 13 is the one who is, and the spirit behind him is the one that's leading to this. This is the interesting part. They say science and religion, they don't get along very well. No, that's not true. Because science is part of the new religion, the New Age movement. Here's what Marilyn Ferguson wrote in her book, The Aquarian Conspiracy. She wrote this back in 1980, back even before we were really doing what we were doing with DNA right now. She wrote this. Marilyn Ferguson was a New Ager. She was writing basically saying, let me tell everybody what we're doing. We have New Agers in politics, we have them in business, we have them in government. We have them as scientists wearing lab coats, looking in petri dishes and beakers and microscopes. And we have, oh, by the way, we have preachers in pulpits. We have teachers in seminaries. We have people in children's classrooms. I mean, we're literally changing the world one human being at a time. Here's what Marilyn Ferguson said in the Aquarian Conspiracy concerning the science of what's going on right now. Evolution may be speeded up by certain genetic mechanisms. There's that word gene, which means the book. Researchers have conjectured that such genetic rewriting may be expected in all forms of life. She says evolution involves true transformation, reforming of the basic structure and not mere adding on. The Aquarian Conspiracy, page 160, 161. I have the book. I've read it. I'm going, she said this in 1980. She said they were envisioning this. Remember, it starts out as a dream. And then it becomes, here we are, 2012, it becomes reality in our lifetime. She said that the goal of the New Age movement was to rewrite the genetic structure of all forms of life, and it involves transformation, becoming a new species, Homo novus, transhuman, Homo evolutus, all of these different Homo words that are being bandied about upon the internet and among scientists and thinkers and futurists, Ray Kurzweil and everybody else, saying basically, yeah, we're just like, here's the step here. We're just like ready to lift our leg and go to the next step of evolution, and we're working on it faster and faster and faster every day that we live. And it has to do with the religion of the New World Order. Remember, the false prophet is the one who causes the world to make an image, the likeness of the beast, and give it life. So we are dealing with religious. There is religion. There's a religious idea. There are spirits that are inspiring these scientists. Let me go back to Watson and Crick, the two genetic scientists that working together determine the structure of DNA. You know, the double winding helix. Francis Crick admitted that during this process he was taking small amounts of LSD. LSD, basically a psychotropic drug that allows the creative side of your brain to really kind of take over and flush out everything else, so you can visualize, so you can imagine better. And really what's happening is that when you shut the logic center of your brain down, you're taking down what the Bible refers to as sobriety. Anybody on LSD is not sober. It's a form of drunkenness. And while a person is in a drunken state, they are under the direct influence of spirits. Spirits are, let me give you another illustration. I have a book, I may deal with this soon, called The Cosmic Serpent. A guy hired by pharmaceutical companies to go down to the Amazon rainforest, talk to the witch doctors down there, and find out what roots did what for the human body. Here's what he said. The witch doctors would make a concoction of super concentrated tobacco. They would drink it. It would throw them into an altered state of consciousness, and they would be in contact with spirits of the jungle.